What do you think it means to solve an equation? What's an equation? Raise your hand if you can give me an example of an equation. An equation has to have what sign? If I say solve this, what are you trying to find? Yeah, Martin? X. Yeah, I want you guys to call. What you're trying to do is you're trying to get the x variable by itself. So you have to look at the left side of the equation. We're trying to make x alone, right? We're trying to get it by itself. So we have to see what else is around the x. There's a 3. This means 3 times x, and there's a plus 7. What's the first thing you want to get rid of from the left side of the equation? Because we're trying to get x all alone. What should I get rid of? What should I eliminate?
The 7.
The 7. So this is what we did. We did this already. What's the opposite of plus 7? You're always doing opposite operations, okay? If I have a plus 7, I'm going to take away the 7 because that gets rid of it. Now remember, equations have to be balanced. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side of the equation. You can't just all of a sudden take away 7 on the left side. What do you have to do to the right side? I also have to take away 7. So what is remaining on the left side of the equation? What do I have still? I have all of this term. I have 3x, right? Equals, does everyone see why I still have the 3x? I haven't done anything with the 3x. I just got rid of the 7. And on the right side, I have to do 10 take away 7. That's what we're subtracting 7 from 10. Because the 10 is already there. We're taking away the 7. So what's 10 take away 7? So I have 3x equals 3. Okay? And we always have to do the opposite operation. You're trying to undo what's there to get rid of it. So what does 3x mean? What's the operation? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. What is it? What is 3x? What does that mean? 3 plus x, 3 times x, 3 times x. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. Always do the opposite. So if I divide this by 3, the reason you're doing the opposite is because you're trying to get rid of it. Does that cancel it out? So what do I have to do to the right side? Divide it by 3. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. What's 3 divided by 3? 1. That's it. We're done. We solved it. Do you guys remember this from grade 9? We're going to check to see, is this true? Is x equal to 1? What that means is that 3 times 1 plus 7 has to equal 10. Well, if we're saying that x is 1, I've just replaced x in the original equation. We have to see if it's true. Well, what's 3 times 1? 3 plus 7 equals 10. Is that true? What's 3 plus 7? So 10 equals 10. Do my left side and my right side balance? Are they the exact same number? Then this has to be correct. You can always check your answers to see if it's correct, okay? If you want, put an imaginary line here and just make sure you line up your equal sign. Okay? So what's the first thing we want to undo? What's the first operation we want to get rid of? We have our left side and we have our right side. We're trying to get x by itself. So you always want to get rid of anything that's around the x. What's around the x? Okay, positive 3. So what's the opposite of plus 3? Pardon? Take away 3. Does that get rid of it? Okay, so what do I have to do to the right side? Same thing, take away 3. So I'm left with x. 3 take away 3 is nothing. But I have to do 10 take away 3. What's 10 take away 3? 7. That's it. That's the answer. Is it true? Is 7 plus 3 equal to 10? Yes. Okay. Same thing. We have our left side. We have our right side. How did you get that? What's the opposite of take away 6? Plus 6. What do I have to do to the right side? Good. So I'm left with p equals 5 plus 6. P equals 11. So you always want to look at what is the operation around the variable. What does this mean? Look here, what does this mean? What operation is that? Division, right? A divided by 4. What's the opposite of divided by 4? Multiply. If I multiply this by 4, that cancels out because 4 divided by 4 is 1. It reduces to 1. So what do I have to do to the right side? Same thing. Multiply by 4. I'm left with A equals, what's negative 2 times positive 4? Negative 8. And check, does it make sense? If you're not sure, plug it in. Well, it was A divided by 4, and I'm saying that negative 8 divided by 4 equals negative 2. Is that true? Is negative 8 divided by 4 negative 2? Yes. Okay, try F. F. Right? We multiply it by 3, multiply both sides by 3. That cancels out. I'm left with X equals what? Negative 9. So this time the variable is on the right side. Okay, draw a little left side and right side. I'm trying to get this variable by itself. So you want to look, remember I said look at to see what's around the variable. What operation is around the variable? Minus 3 over 4. What's the opposite of subtraction? Addition. Does everyone agree if I do negative 3 over 4 plus 3 over 4, that becomes 0? So I've gotten m by itself, right? But you can't just do something to one side of the equation and not do it to the other side. I added 3 over 4 to this side. What do I have to do to the left side of the equation? I have to add the 3 over 4. So we're going to write it out as a fraction. 1 over 1, right? Right, 1 is a fraction, plus 3 over 4. Now you need to know how to add fractions. What do you need to have when you're adding fractions? A common denominator. What's the common denominator? Multiply this by, right? I need to have a common denominator. Both fractions have to have a denominator of 4. So I have 1 times 4 is 4 over 4 plus 3 over 4. That will give me m. Does everyone see what I did there? So simplify it. What's 4 over 4 plus 3 over 7 over 4 equals m. That's the answer. Can you put it in lowest terms? How many times does 4 go into 7? Once, with how many left over? 3 fourths. I'll accept either answer, okay? Okay, so we start by putting the 1 here, because a negative sign to the left of the variable is the same as negative 1 times the variable. Okay, so we look at this, we see the operation here is negative 1 times n. That's the operation is times. Opposite operation, remember you always do the opposite operation. What's the opposite of multiplication? So what do I have to divide by? Raise your hand. What do I have to divide by to get n by itself? What am I dividing? I'm dividing by negative 1. Don't forget you have to include the negative because I have to get rid of the negative. I want to know what n equals. We know what negative n equals, but I want to know n. So what do I have to do to the right side? Divide by negative. What's 5 divided by 1? What's a negative divided by negative? Positive. So the answer is n equals 5.